Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our interviews with successful real estate investors, because we do these videos to help you learn how to succeed in real estate. Our guest today averaged buying more than 2 properties every week while working as an undercover police detective. And he only had 5 hours per week to devote to real estate and started out with less than $1,000 in his police officer's credit union. He's been featured in Money Magazine and has authored 2 #1 bestsellers on Amazon. Mike Butler is a real estate coach and mentor. Mike, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Hello, Seth, and thank you very much. It's an honor and privilege, and I hope I can help out some folks here and not make just to make it good quality training, let's say.
Yeah, well, we only do good quality here, so you're in the right spot.
Yeah. Well, the challenge is on me, so I'm gonna try to pull it off for you.
Perfect. Well, we'll see how we do. How we do, and if somebody's watching, they can put a comment in the comment section and let us know how we did at the end. How about that?
That's awesome.
All right. So to kick things off, do you want to tell us a little bit about your real estate goals right now? What do you want to accomplish with real estate?
Well, my real estate goals right now is not to compete with Donald Trump. Okay. So what I'd like to do, it's kind of like, to sum it up real short, let's say, would you like to make $25,000 a month and do what you want, or make $50,000 a month and not have time to fart? Okay. Mm-hmm. So quality of life is really, really high. And that's why we do what we do, and you do what you do. Okay. And so we invest in things so that we can help more folks. Now, I'm going to share with you something I was raised with that still is stuck in my head, and it just infuriates me. Okay. And you definitely look a generation or 2 younger than me, Seth. But when I was raised, our parents and grandparents went through the Depression, and they had this mindset that I don't know where they got it from, but they said the money is root of all evil. Do you remember ever hearing that?
I've heard that once or twice.
You know, that was beat into our brain. Yeah. Okay. And it made you think that if you had money, you were a bad person. Well, that statement's totally wrong for anybody's listening, and you went down that road, because here's what I found out. Evil people are going to be evil with or without money. Good people are going to be good people with or without money. So if good people have money, they get to help more people. Mm-hmm. Evil people still going to be evil. Okay, so shoot down that thing. I just wanted to share that. That's kind of a recent discovery in this decade of mine. And so what I'm focusing on now is we're blessed and fortunate to live in the United States. And as there's no really big need for you to make a gazillion dollars of income and pay income tax on it. So the goal this is my goal too, and I'm going to share with everybody else, figure out how much money you need to make a month or a year to make yourself a happy camper. Now, what does that mean? Okay, where you could get up every morning and do whatever you want in life. It would cover your cost of living expenses and gives you the opportunity to pursue whatever passions you have in life. So get up every day and do what you want. Okay, now, whenever you figure out what that number is, and this is mind-boggling, over the last probably 15 years, guess what the number one answer is when I get to teach, especially in front of a live crowd?
Ooh, are we talking annual income?
No, monthly is what I use. How much money in your pocket monthly?
Maybe $5,000 a month?
No, it's $10,000. And that kind of blew me away. And it's been like that for the last 12, 15 years. Even people in California say that. And so what that tells me is people aren't out to compete with Trump. They just want enough to be able to cover their cost of livings, be safe and secure and all that. So let's bump it up a little bit, because we are overachievers, okay? So let's say we're going to bump it up. That $10,000 a month be $120,000. Well, let's make it $150,000 so you can help some more people. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're going to have $150,000 of income that goes on your regular annual personal tax return, okay? Well, if you're smart and you're an overachiever above that, why in the world would you want to up that to $300,000? Wouldn't that be insane? Then you jump up another tax bracket and all this kind of stuff. So if you can live on 120 or 150,000, and it's your choice, if you can live on that, take everything else, okay, that you would do over here in the part that gets taxed and put it into a self-directed Roth IRA. And now that can grow and compound. And as my good friend Carl Fisher, he says, you'd rather pay taxes on the seeds or taxes on the harvest? Well, I'd rather pay taxes on the seeds. And then all that grows tax-free. So the profit, the income, everything. So you could make $400,000 a year over if you want to. And so that's the focus. So where am I at in my real estate today? I would say just growing my self-directed Roth IRA for tax-free profit and income for life. And also that's an excellent estate planning tool because that lives on past you. So you can pass it down to your kids, and I guess they can pass it down to their grandkids. I won't be around when that happens. But so that's huge. And when I got started, the focus of my generation seemed to be quantity, or at least the group that I hung around with, okay? And today, I want you to focus on quality and not quantity. So each deal must support itself, okay? And I guess that's about it.
Yeah.
Quality of life.
Yeah. And that's an interesting approach, but I'm going to take a stab that wasn't always your focus. When you were starting out building your portfolio, were you still thinking about quality of life, or did you have a more dollar figure focus at that point?
Excellent question, Seth, and I love it. I grew up what people would say is poor. And it's not the old, I walked uphill to school both ways, but home and back. But I was the oldest of 7 kids. Grew up in a couple blocks from Churchill Downs. That's home of the Kentucky Derby. So there were no mentors, no superstar successful people for me to follow or watch or get mentored by. Those people owned a mom and pop bakery on the corner, or maybe they had a plumbing business or something. Everybody else worked in factories. So when I got started, it was quantity, and I had a work ethic that instilled by my dad. I still struggle with to this day. And so what I figured out was when I was a policeman, I saw a fellow who had 20 years on get ticked off because somebody younger than you got promoted to boss, and he didn't like it, and they butted heads. He says, I'm retiring. I'm out of here. Well, guess what? About 2 or 3 weeks later, I see him riding in a golf cart on the backside of Churchill Downs, guarding horses on the graveyard shift for minimum wage. I said, I don't want to do that. So what could I do now that would supplement my police pension? And so I had a paper route when I was in the 7th grade to help save up to pay my tuition to go to private Catholic high school. Okay, and that's where I got my PhD. It's a private high school diploma. You may have heard others talk about a public high school diploma. But anyway, and so I was always working with it, be cutting grass, painting houses, putting roofs on houses, all this and that. And so I thought, well, I was working in the same area that I grew up in as far as being a detective. And I said, well, what if I bought a couple of these little 2-bedroom houses? And I bought them. I didn't have any money, so my dad taught me how to use these, okay? And so I bought one, fixed it up in 13 days, rented it out, and I rented it for $350. I was making $100-something a month on about $150 a month. And I'm like, you know what? I told my wife, I said, if we could get 3 of these, that would double my pension. And so I kind of viewed it as a hobby. So instead of me going out here and guarding a construction site in a police car, or going to a church picnic and guarding that, or some trading my hours for dollars, I could do something now while I'm young and healthy, and then somebody else will pay for it. It puts money in my pocket, and I didn't have a clue about any tax benefits.
Yeah.
So that was my goal. So the first one I bought was a fixer-upper. I had to do everything myself. The second one was across the street from the one that I just did. And I watched somebody else go in there and fix it all up and make it pretty. Didn't have to do anything except change the lock. And that fella offered seller financing, so I bought it. And then I refinanced both of them. And it's like, holy cow, now we're making $300 and something a month. And I got the fever. And my wife went, nope. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So she made me sit on it for a year. And that turned into $8,000 in our little savings account. And then she says, okay, you can buy another one. And then the following year I bought 12. And And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. No, following year, I set a goal to buy 12, and I bought 18. And I was down in Florida at some kind of real estate conference they had down there. I remember it was in Clearwater on the beach. No, somewhere around there, Clearwater on the Gulf side. And there was the keynote speaker talked about setting goals. And so I was down there in January reviewing the goals that I had set for the previous year, which was to buy 1 a month, and I bought 18. And so I said, okay, I'm going to be pretty aggressive. This is with a full-time job now, working overtime, married with kids and little brownies and Girl Scouts and cookies and all that stuff. And I said, well, I'm going to do 2 a month. And I knew that was stretching it, okay? But I'd set a goal last year doing 1 a month. I did 18, so I did 2 a month. It'd be 24. And that scared me. It really did. But I thought, well, I got to have some kind of something up my butt to keep me going and motivated, because here's what I thought. I can really gain true financial independence for me and my family through this thing called real estate. I really could. Okay. And imagine having 20 nice rental houses paid for. Mm-hmm. What would your life be like? You know what? If you live in Mayberry, okay, which I call Louisville Mayberry, and not New York City or LA where everything's crazy, okay? Let's say those 20 nice rental houses rent for $1,000 a month. Let's say the overhead, property taxes, insurance, and even have somebody else manage it for you is 50%, okay, which is being very aggressive there. That leaves $500. So if you got 20 of them, that's $10,000 a month, guys. So I was sort of kind of thinking like this, okay? Well, what if I went out and I bought 50 houses, and then right before I retired, I'd sell off, say, 30, end up with 20 paid for. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I also had these things. How many houses would I have to pay somebody to do this for me? How many houses would I have to hire somebody to do that for me? And so that's kind of how I grew in baby steps. So I heard this keynote speaker back then. You know, these success seminars, they have buzzwords of the day. Okay, just like and the one back then was quantum leap your goals. I didn't know what quantum leap meant, but here's what they said. Okay, when you're setting your goals right now, now's the time of year to do that. Set your goals, okay? Shoot for the moon. And if you fall short, are you a loser? No, you're just a star.
Yep.
That was my magic moment, because then I took the 24 that I wanted to do that year, and I thought quantum meant multiply by 4. I don't know where I got that, but anyway, that's what I did. So I did, okay, 24 times 4 is 96. What the heck? Round it up to 100. And so that's what I did. And I bought 84 deals that year, and I added another 56 rental properties to my portfolio. So that means I got to wholesale the other ones, because one time I remember I had 17 deals stacked up in the pipeline to close. And so when that happened, and then you get other folks, if you're a very active buyer, I'm not going to say aggressive, but an active buyer, people will start coming around you, okay? And so I had 17. I said, okay, well, golly. And I had a full-time cruise. So I said, well, I'll take these 10 here, the 10 worser, and I'll wholesale them to other investors and pick up a quick 5, 10, or 15,000, depending on what it was. And so that just exploded. And when I mastered that and got those systems figured out there, Seth, I just kept it going for year after year after year. Yeah. And then I got to retire early from the police department. And because I ended up doing the long-term undercover stuff. I looked like a biker dude, had the long hair and the beard and all that, wore bib overalls, and investigated murder for hire, contract killings, and organized crime. And we were working a pretty big case, and then they put a contract out on me, and my wife said, I can't handle it. You know, it's either the police department or your family. So I chose family. And the real estate was blowing the doors off my police pension anyway. Not police pension, salary. Okay. And I was just having a ball doing it, and really putting some bad guys away. And so I guess, is that what you were looking for?
Oh, that's perfect. And I think that's going to give a lot of inspiration to our viewers who, you know, maybe might be thinking small goals, but and they don't realize the power yet of setting those big goals. And like you said, even if you don't hit them, you're going to be a lot farther ahead by at least trying to hit those larger goals. Can
I add one other thing?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. People always will ask me this. Okay, so he's talking about this. He's buying that many houses, all this. I don't believe it. How did he do it? He had a full-time job doing this and that, blah, blah. Well, yeah, I had a full-time job. Okay. I had a full-time job plus the duties of being a dad, a husband, and all the other things, okay? Now, I had to change my whole mindset on how to pull this off. So you can't do the traditional things of, okay, well, let's see, I'm going to go find something today. They might go to Craigslist or Zillow or find auction.com or whatever. Well, you can't spin your wheels and waste a lot of time on due diligence because you don't have no – if I'm going to pull off something like that, I've got to have a buying machine in action.
Yeah.
Okay? So I had 0 leads coming in, 0. So here's what I did. Back then we had what was called a Sunday newspaper, in case you've never seen one, Seth. And it had a real estate section, and it might be, I don't know, at that time, 10, 15 pages or so. Today it's 1 page because newspapers are dying. And so I would go through the newspaper and I would look for properties that were in a target area that I liked, okay, felt comfortable with, and that I suspected that it could be something I could be interested in. And so let's say I came up with a list of 60. I would do that early Sunday morning before we go to church while I'm drinking coffee. Okay, then I'd come back maybe Sunday night. I'd narrow that down to say 20, the best of those 60. I'd pick the best 24 I thought were the best prospects. And then Monday, Tuesday, and throughout the week, I would set up appointments to go see those on Saturday morning, starting in what is known as the war zone, where the bullets fly, some bad areas in our town, okay? Start there at 8:30 in the morning, and then I would kind of schedule every 10, 15 minutes, little windows of time, so I could get through all 24 houses before 12 noon. So, I mean, I'm literally pulling up, walking around the house, walking in the front door and around the house, upstairs, going to the basement, walk around. And I would walk through a house and make a decision within 5 minutes. I'd go out into my office sitting in the driveway at the time, which was my police truck, and I had a little index card. And I already had some stuff scribbled down, and I'd scribble some more down, what repairs needed, this and that, and I'd write my offers on there, okay? Then I'd go back home. I'm at home at 12 noon eating my soup and sandwich, and I'd write offers on which ones would I write offers on, Seth?
Probably the all the ones that fit your criteria. So let's say top.
All 24.
All 24. That's great.
All 24. Okay. So I'd had that done. And what I said is I could do all this in about 5 hours a week. Okay. I felt like I had less than 5 hours a week. Yeah, I'd burn some oil here, but I wouldn't do that every week. I'd do that every 2 weeks. And then what's going to happen is 2 weeks, I got 48 offers out. 3 weeks, I got 72 offers out. Well, you're going to get a ton of rejection, but You know what? You're also going to get a few that fire back and encounter something. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I got my investor pledge. I created this for myself, and I share it with guys. Do you want to take it? You ready?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, raise your right hand and say after me.
Okay.
I promise to myself and my family.
For myself and my family.
From this moment forward.
From this moment forward.
To make an offer.
To make an offer.
Even if ridiculous.
Even if ridiculous.
On every property.
On every property.
I take time out of my precious day to go view.
On every property that I take time out of my precious day to view.
To go view. Okay.
To go view. Okay.
Yeah, and I want you to take a chisel and put that in your forehead in invisible ink or something so you can see it every morning. And when I started doing that, I'm telling you, it didn't matter if it was listed with Century 21 or Remax or something. If I walked through the house and I said this, I mean, how many times we walk through a property? I don't care if it's apartments. I don't care if it's a house, if it's a commercial building, strip centers, there's no deal here. If you took time to go do that, make an offer, ding dong. Make an offer. And I can't tell you how many times the agent calls me up and then cusses me out because the seller accepted it. And then I'm going, oh, what'd I miss? I forgot something. Yeah. But no, that helps. So little tools like that, and get yourself an accountability partner. I'm not saying business partner, but somebody that you can share your goals with and kind of like have a contest throughout the year about where you're at with each other. And that helps a bunch.
Yeah. Well, was that person your wife or what? Was it somebody else? No. Okay.
No, remember talking about going down there to Florida?
Yep.
Okay. This was a kid who called himself a full-time investor. Okay. His dad bought his truck, pays for his insurance and pays for his gas, and his mom does his laundry and all this and that. Okay. And he lives at home with mom and dad. But he's a little Energizer bunny, and he wanted to learn. And so me and him would travel around the country going to these boot camps and stuff and seminars. And Did we waste money on them? I don't think so, because the bad ones that I went to, I realized I don't want to do any of that. So that saved me a lot of money as well.
Mm-hmm.
But and I looked about 5 years ago, I've spent almost $300,000 on my real estate education. And I joined a local RIA group when I found out about it. And I met Jay. Jay Long is his name. You'll hear about him in my books. And me and him became like study buddies, accountability partners, and we'd share a lot of things. And in fact, he was a pallbearer at my wife's funeral back in 2004. So when you have an accountability partner like that you can trust, okay, that helps out a bunch as far as making sure you stick to your guns.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned another important thing is that you had a system that you followed every single week without fail.
Yes.
Most people go out and they don't have a system, they don't have a game plan, and they just go at everything willy-nilly. You had your system, you stuck to it, and you did it consistently, which is the key, right? You're being consistent, and you're taking that rejection that comes. But it's a numbers game. If you throw out 100 offers and 3 get accepted, you still have 3 deals.
Yeah, and that brings up a thing about a doctor. One of my students, a medical doctor, and he wanted to have a coaching session with me. So we scheduled, and he came on into the office. And I'm not kidding. I'm exaggerating a little bit here. But he brought in folders in a wheelbarrow. I said, "What in the world is this, David?" He goes, "Oh, I'm working on a deal." I said, "No, what is this?" He goes, "Well, I want to see if you think this is a deal." So he's been gathering all this information for 3 or 4 or 5 days, trying to make a decision whether he ought to buy it or not. And I'm like, "David, you put it on an index card. Okay, that's all the information I need." And in today's world, you can drive down the street on your computer.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what happens. If you figure out, if we sit down and go through your mess in this wheelbarrow and you figured out that's a deal, when you call that seller up, I can promise you what they're going to tell you. What are they going to say, Seth?
Probably he probably missed the boat, and somebody's
already sold. Okay. Yep. And so a couple of ground rules, if you really want to be good at this and really transform your life to give yourself and your family true financial freedom, independence, figure out what your farm area is, what area of town, okay, that you're comfortable with, okay, that you'd like to get those 20 nice rental houses paid for in. If you live in a city like someplace in California, the numbers don't work, okay, so they're investing in my town. I got people in Chicago who invest in my town. I don't know a thing about where you're at in Ontario, right?
Yeah. Yeah, in Toronto. We are kind of like a Seattle, New York type of market here.
Yeah, so I would probably never consider that. But find some place, and don't do this scattered all over the country stuff, especially with single-family houses. Gosh, years ago, some lady was teaching, well, buy one in St. Louis and buy one over here and buy one over there. I've got all my properties in one county right here in Louisville, Kentucky. You know why? Legal team.
Makes it easy. Yeah.
Well, legal, I got one courthouse to deal with. I got one set of laws to deal with. I got one set of city ordinances to deal with. And the attorneys, okay, they go to that courthouse. Now, right across the river is that brand new southernmost province of Canada. It's called Indiana, okay? And for any attorney to go from Kentucky, go from Louisville to cross that bridge into Indiana to go to one of their courthouses, I'd have an easier time getting them to go to Afghanistan. They got a different set of laws, different utility companies, different licensing. So, try to think of the big picture where you want to invest in. Okay, seasonal things are issues too. Yeah. So, like, I cannot imagine. Now, you're up north farther than me, but like people in Chicago and north, they got these snow things on their roofs and stuff. I just like, gosh, I don't want that. Okay. So we got 4 seasons, and this is where I grew up, so I call it home. But I don't know anybody that retires and goes north. Everybody goes south. So, but the systems, you got to have systems in place. Another one, talk about it, and I would encourage you to join your local RIA group and be cautious. Their job is not to make you millionaires, okay? But it's for networking, resources, staying current with the laws and all that. That part's good. But how many times has this happened to you, especially when I got started? I might be at that local RIA meeting, and here's a landlord or investor who's going to retire and go south, and he's got a 36-plex apartment community that he wants to sell, okay? And I ran the numbers on my little card here, and man, that's a heck of a deal. I want to buy that, but you know what? That might be too big a bite for me to take on right now. Well, if you don't have systems in place, okay, you're going to find yourself in that pickle. And I was like that. And so I thought having rental properties like owning stock, fix it up, put a tenant in it, and then go on buy more. No, totally different. That's why I ended up writing those 2 books. Okay. But so what I have is a system where today, if I wanted to go out and buy 800 unit apartment complex, no problem. The system I have, you can dump it right in there and have it set up, ready and running in about 3 hours. And so a 36-plex, I could have that dumped in, set up, ready and running, and operating from it in probably about 30 minutes. And so you've got to have systems for your real estate business. And when you've got that, then you can just grow and grow and grow and do what you want. And then you'll get better at it, and you get cherry-picked killer deals.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of deals, how many deals do you think you've done over your investing career right now?
I'd say somewhere between 1,500, 2,000 maybe.
Wow. That's a lot of volume. Out of all of those deals, is there one that stands out as one that a keystone deal?
I've got 2 that I can think of that was pretty good.
Okay.
And I'll try to go through them real short. This next one I'm going to tell you about was house number 5. So it happened in my second year.
Okay.
So I bought me an old Coca-Cola maintenance truck, and I used that on the first 4 houses. Then I sold it because I got burnt. Oh, I thought, gosh, I got so much to. Ooh. Okay. Remember my daddy taught me to use these? Okay. Here, son, let me show you how to change oil in my truck so you can save money. Well, that's a rich dad, poor dad kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And so when I bought my first house, I fixed it up myself. And so I'd worked my way up, and I bought me an old Coca-Cola maintenance truck with the utility beds on it. And so I get to house number 5, and I get up on my off day, go to the paint store, and I'm going to paint it myself. For what reason? To save money. And back then we carried a pager that looked like a fax machine and a holster on your belt. And so I'm going to paint this thing to save money. Now, keep in mind, at that time, I could have got the whole inside of that house painted for about $180 plus the paint, but I wanted to save money. So I did that. My pager goes off. I go home. Remember my buddy Jay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had a couple messages from my dad. I was on the bomb squad too. Had a message from them, at police department, a couple of things. And then Jay was on there, said, hey, Mike, give me a call. This wholesaling thing that we learned about, I think it works. I think I just made $20,000. So I called him up, listened to him, and this lady wanted to sell her house, and she was going to move to Florida because her daughter had bought her a patio home, furnished it. All she needed to do is pick up her personal papers and her cat and go. That's what she wanted to do. Well, Jay didn't like the house. He didn't want it. So he used Mike Butler's investor pledge. And guess what kind of offer he made her?
One that worked for him, and it got accepted.
Ridiculous. Remember, even if ridiculous. Remember that?
Yep.
So he made her a ridiculous offer. She said yes. So then he calls up one of our other fellow investors and said, hey, I want you to pose as a contractor. I'm going to take you over here to this house. He goes over there. Contractor offered him $20,000 more than what he was buying it for. Cash deal, close on Tuesday. And my jaw dropped. And I'm like, wow. Well, so then I finished playing my other messages. Now, keep in mind, my answer machine back then looked like a TV tuner. Okay, it had 2 dials, 2 audio cassettes. Guess who was on my answer machine at 8:30 a.m. that morning? The lady selling that house. I missed out because I was saving money. Guess what I did with my Coca-Cola maintenance truck?
Got rid of it.
I sold it because that was the same time Bob Newhart went off the air, and I hired his helpers, Larry, Darrell, and his other brother Darrell, and I sold him my truck, and I haven't touched the house since. No kidding. So that's an expensive lesson, okay? The other one is that same house number 5, this fella was in his 70s, retired from Ford. He worked for free in a local hardware store across the street from his home. And he wanted to sell it, and he was going to sell or finance. He's willing to sell or finance it, but he said this, I'll sell it to you, Mike, but under one condition, that if I die, time to get a penny.
Oh, actually, we lost our internet connection as soon as he said, if I die. So I'll if you want to start back again, I'll clip it through.
Okay. So did you get the part about the little old man worked in the hardware store across the street for free?
So you just said, if I die, and then it cut out. So
okay.
Yeah.
So the little old man says, if I die, it's paid for. Okay. Because I don't want my wife's son to get a penny of that. Okay. Because he's ripped me off for so much over the years.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it and I said, well, okay, I guess so. I talked over with my wife. I said, what do you think about that? I said, boy, he must really hate that her son. And I said, I guess so too. So I did the deal, and I was greener than a gourd. It was house number 5. And I structured it with a promissory note without a mortgage. So in essence, I signed a promissory note to pay him for the house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we never recorded a mortgage or secured it with real estate, just my promise. So now I got this house free and clear. You with me?
Yep.
Now I go to the bank and I refinance that house that I owe how much on?
Well, nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Okay. And then that gave me an infusion of cash that I could go out here and rock and roll and crank up my buying machine.
Nice.
Okay. So that was one. Okay. Then another house that I bought, this deal here was an eye opener. It had a for sale by owner sign in it. And I was teaching a bird dog of mine. And the way my bird dog program was simple. The first 3 deals, I paid you $500. Okay. And when you can start doing deals on your own, subject to my approval, you get $1,000. Okay. So they're in it for the education, not for the income. And today he's a superstar too. So we had this FSBO sign, and he wanted to call it. So go ahead. So he called it, did his little how to teach him how to use these. And the fellow was willing to do seller financing. So we structured the deal, put it together, and Mark was his name. And he didn't believe that people would do 0% seller financing. And they do, okay, if they're a motivated seller. Every deal I've done with a motivated seller. And so we met at Hooters, went over it. Then he goes over and meets Henry and Lucille, whatever their name was. And so we put a deal together with 0% interest. Okay. They wanted like $5,000 down. And this is a 4-bedroom house that was renting for $800 a month then. I was like, wow, pretty cool. So I went ahead and bought it. Well, when it goes to my attorneys, okay, have a good, competent, expert real estate investing attorney on your team. Well, they're doing a title exam. There's 2 properties on there. There's the house and a vacant lot next to it. And I was like, wow, okay, pretty cool. So we put on our creative juices and all this and that. And so here's what I did. So I bought the house, and with the seller financing, I had them prepare a separate deed just for the lot. And that went to my self-directed Roth IRA. Okay. So then I'm going to sell the lot, and I thought I could sell it for about $8,000 or something like that to a builder. Mm-hmm. And so I was going to sell the lot, and then the people I sold, I sold that same 4-bedroom house with seller financing, and it was awesome. And they wanted to do more, and they did. And so they said, no, we don't want you to sell that lot. That goes great with that house. And I said, okay, tell you what, I'll sell it to your self-directed Roth IRA. So I showed them how to buy that lot with their self-directed Roth IRA. So now they own that. And so I just got to put, another 8,000 ka-ching right into my Roth. Wasn't that cool?
That's really cool. That's a good story.
So people say, well, I got to have money in there to do that. No, you don't. You just have to have a contribution. So, and then the other thing is privacy. Everybody wants to figure out what you own and what you got and all that. I control everything, but I own nothing. Okay, including vehicles, cash, everything. So those are paramount on me to stay below the radar.
Yeah,
so that's pretty cool. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
No, you did, absolutely. I just wanted to learn about one keystone deal you had, and he gave us 2, so we got a bonus.
Okay, cool.
That's great. So you mentioned this a little bit at the start. By you investing in real estate and taking that step to create the systems and sticking with it and following through, how has that really changed your life from the day you started to now?
I can summarize that one in a kind of a short sentence or two. In September of 2004, okay, I was already retired from the police department. My real estate machine was cranking and rocking and rolling. my wife was a critical care nurse, and she worked in the hospital across the street from my office that I had. I had 2 daughters in high school, and my wife went in for what I thought was a routine surgery at the very same hospital she worked at. Long story short, she had complications and she died. She had a blood clot that went to her brain during the surgery. I got knocked on my butt. That was never on the radar. We were ready to be part-time snowbirds, get a home in Florida and live there in the winter and do the real estate up here in the summertime. And we had full-time staff, everything. And that knocked me on my butt. And I can honestly say that had it not been for the systems that I had put in place, probably wouldn't be talking to you today, because my systems allowed me to walk away from my real estate for probably 3 months, and it just ran on autopilot. Mm-hmm. And that's the benefit to me of having systems. Okay. I hear a lot of folks out here using this dolphin word. You're young again, but there was a TV series back in the 60s called Flipper. Yeah. It's a dolphin. Okay. Yep. And I hear people talking about doing a lot of flips like that. And I caution them. I say, please be careful with doing that. It's great to generate chunks of cash, but real estate flippers are not real estate investors. Okay. If you look up the word invest in the dictionary, or even in the IRS, it's where you invest some money for at least 2 tax years. Okay. And so investing where you park your money, hoping it'll grow. Okay. And flippers is no different than going to a wholesale car auction, buying a car at wholesale price, bring it back to your lot, put some lipstick on it and sell it and move on to the next one. Mm-hmm. So if you were to get injured, okay, or, everybody's living longer now. So you're going to be faced with helping mom and dad out, assisted living or whatever. What if you got to shut down and you got to stop moving? You break a leg or something happens to your kid or somebody. If you're 100% in the flipping business and you got to go take care of somebody for several months, what happens to your income? Yeah. It stops. Okay. So here's what I recommend doing. Remember I said I set a goal to buy 100. Mm-hmm. I did 84, but I added another 56 to my portfolio. I'm an investor. Those other between 84 minus 56, I'm not going to try to do that right now, but I wholesale those, flip them, whatever you want to call it, to other investors. And so what I would encourage you to do is focus on the investing and then do these wholesale deals and wholesale deals and buy, fix up and retail deals. Do that to supplement that, to help you get to those 20 nice houses faster.
Yeah. That's so true. And you had mentioned when we started this talk that it's about the time freedom as well. Yes. And if you're flipping all the time, you're basically working a job with more hours than you probably want to work in the first place.
Yeah, and it's not passive income; it's earned income.
Yeah,
yeah, and so that was huge. You caused me to have a brain fart, and I was going to do. Oh well. I'll think about it when we're done.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, it'll come back.
Yeah, well, I'll start rhyming off words and see if we can trigger it. So getting into real estate investing, it gave you the flexibility. The systems allowed you to recover from a hard time period. What does real estate look like for you looking ahead now? Another 10 years? Like, where do you think you'll be real estate wise?
Real estate wise, I'd like to be fewer moving parts and more profit and income and more efficiency. Mm-hmm. Government, when I got started, the IRS was a partner and you couldn't avoid it. Okay. But now here lately, let's say in the last 5 to 10 years or so, government's got very, very active and involved in folks who own real estate, from all kinds of fine rent controls, all this kind of stuff. So pay attention to what's going on in your town and identify someplace that is investor friendly. Okay. Yeah. Let's take Chicago, for example. I've got students up in Chicago, investors up there. They could take the same 3-bedroom brick ranch in their town. Okay. That they're paying $400 a month income tax, a property tax on. Take that same house, get the moving company, move it down here to my town, and they might pay $75 a month in property tax. Mm-hmm. Same exact house. Okay. So you've got to, the forecast about where we're going and what's going on with real estate. So for those of you that are still deciding where to go, try to find some place that's investor friendly. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that would be one. The other one is what I think about the real estate market. Okay. History repeats itself, does it over and over, but I don't care what book you read, whether it's The Millionaire Mindset or Outliers or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, everybody who's superstar successful has their fingers in real estate. Okay. That ain't going away, you know, and God's not creating any more dirt. Okay. At least on this planet. Okay. So it's going to go up, and people need places to live. And unless they build this wall that you're talking about, okay, people want to come to America. They come from everywhere. I mean, we see it on 60 Minutes where this 5 years ago, this guy lived here and he immigrated to the United States, and now he's got a superstar business. Everybody wants to come to the United States. So I don't think, you know, we're going to have a shortage of housing, good quality housing, for as far as I can see in my lifetime. Is the market going to change? Absolutely. Okay. Los Angeles, California, New York, whatever, they're going to have their peaks and valleys and all that. Okay. We don't have that in my hometown. What we get are ripples. Okay. And so where we take a bath, if you will, when the market crashed back in 08, 09, the whole economy did, for that matter, the people who were in the big $2+ million luxury homes and the people who had low-end junkers just a cut above mobile homes with wheels on them, no wheels on these houses, you know, but they were junkers. Those are the ones that took a bath. The ones in that medium market range, the first-time home buyer type level or price of homes, okay, they just had ripples, and it's still working. So the magic to making yourself super sharp is to stay 2 steps ahead of the game. So understand that they're talking about a market bubble is going to pop and all this. Okay, so what if it does? What are you going to do? Yeah. Okay, what kind of doors are going to open there? Okay, and it reminds me of that book, Who Moved My Cheese? So you get a lot of folks that just sit around and complain about it, and then you get the 2 folks like me and you. Okay, we'll go out there and say, well, we're going to find the cheese before anybody else does. Okay, yeah. And so that's it. That's kind of my answer to it. And there's going to be opportunities. What will it be? Will it be short sales will be more creative? If banks go belly up, you know, you're going to have opportunities in there. Just a ton of stuff, you know, assisted living, those things there, you know, that costs you arm and a leg. You might want to look at, that might be an opportunity, although I'm not an expert on it, but we can see that's coming. People are buying more pills, living longer, doing all this and that. And so I think that's going to be a huge market as well.
Yeah, we've got lots of interesting stuff on the horizon, but you never, like everybody says, you don't have a crystal ball, so you never know exactly when it's going to happen in terms of market corrections. So would you say your strategy is just consistent buying in all market conditions?
You make your money when you buy, for the most part, yeah. And there's going to come a point in your life or in your real estate investing career when you want to stick a fork in it. Okay. So my passions personally, I will still buy, and I don't spend a penny on advertising, and I haven't spent a penny on advertising in decades because I have an effective website and the leads come to me. But a lot of times I'll just hand them off to somebody. So I'm not looking at buying 100 houses or doing 100 deals or getting more multifamily and commercial and all that. Okay. Remember, I said I want to be lean, efficient, and the other. So if it's a deal that fits my Roth IRA, heck yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. But if you're growing, okay, if you're getting started and you're growing, the sooner you can get a number of those under your belt, not 100. Okay. No. Okay. But as soon as you can get that, well, then other things start helping you out in tax benefits like depreciation. I haven't paid income tax in a long time. And the losses carried forward from depreciation are phenomenal, and it just blows my mind. But you've got to do this. If you want to get there faster, okay, you got to listen to this guy right here, okay? Okay, and I'm pointing to Seth, I hope. I don't know if I'm pointing at myself, but I'm trying to do this technology stuff. Okay. But doing what you're doing right now, listening to Seth, making education a part of your budget, just like advertising, utilities, insurance, property taxes, that has to be built in. Okay. Because I tell you what, this guy's eyes and ears never stop learning. Okay. And we learn more by keeping our mouth shut and listening and learning and watching. And Seth, you just got an incredible slate of experts that you've already got built into a library right here on your website. And so it's doing those kind of things, okay, that's going to set you apart. It's not a magic pill, okay? So nobody's going to say, here, take this magic pill and you'll be a gazillionaire. It does take work, okay? But do you want to take the rocky road or the smooth road like the who was it on the Wizard of Oz, the gold road?
Oh, Yellow Brick Road.
Yellow Brick Road, that's what it was, yeah. And Elton John wrote a song about it, and I don't know if Led Zeppelin did or not too, but yeah, you can take that painful road and go through the bushes and forests and all that, or take that smooth yellow brick road. And I want you to take the smooth yellow brick road.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike, where can somebody find you and get a hold of you if they want to learn more about what you're doing?
MikeButler.com.
Perfect. That's nice and easy. And then do you want to tell us a little bit about your lunchtime coach talks?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got free investor training webinars that I do every Tuesday at 12 noon Eastern, okay? And I call it the Power Lunch Chalk Talks. It goes back to my days when I played football, and we would write after a game, they'd write on the chalkboard, and I thought that was kind of cool. And it's 20 to 40 minutes of meat and taters, okay, what I call it. So we'll pick a topic. Name a topic, for example, Seth.
We can do foreclosures, let's say.
Okay, so foreclosures, we could do a topic on that and take one. Foreclosures got so many chapters in it. We could take one little section on it and do that. We could do one on how to screen tenants, how to talk to a motivated seller. What's the definition of a motivated seller? Do you know that? Do you have one that's precise?
A very precise? Well, I would say a motivated seller is somebody who has to sell, not wants to sell.
Okay, I've polished it a little bit because I've been asked that so many times. And every deal I've done has a motivated seller. Try this on for size, okay? A motivated seller is the person with the authority to sell who has a problem. And selling that real estate will solve all of that problem or a major part of that problem, okay? And if that's who you can target in all of your marketing and everything, you'll be good, because I can't tell you how many hours I've wasted talking to a neighbor or talking to a good Samaritan from church or somebody's sister. And so deal with the motivated seller, and that can be a bank. It can be it can be an institution. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be an individual, but the person with the authority to sell who has the problem. That's the one you want to try to focus down on.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Cool.
So Mike, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your real estate success with us today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Seth, and I'm looking forward. I'll put you on a Power Lunch here in the very near future too, my friend.
All right, sounds good. Happy to do that. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.